Hi guys, how you doing?
Good.
Shreya, that's a beautiful cake you baked. Can you tell us what that is? Can you lift it?
It's just an egg with a little chicken on top and just flowers and leaves around it.
Wow. And why did you bake that cake?
Because we're learning Siyyum Beitzah and
Wow.
it's Beitzah.
Why is it a masechta called Beitzah?
Because that's the first word.
Okay, so guys, I'm not gonna, for the most part, I'm gonna ask general questions, but please take turns. Whoever wants to speak, but try not to speak over each other. And we're gonna have a little more in depth than usual. So hopefully you guys are good. Okay. It's gonna have a lot of questions. Okay. A Beitzah is born on Yom Tov. What's it in?
Beis Shammai says you can eat it, and Beis Hillel says you can't eat it, and we follow Beis Hillel, so you can't eat it.
What's the reason that you can't eat it? What's the reason Beis Hillel says that it's lo techel?
Because it's nolda, and
that's it. Okay. Shmuel, why is these three mishnayos of Beis Shammai being machmir, being stringent, Beis Hillel being machmir? First, yeah.
Because they're the exceptions to the rule.
Very good. Beis Shammai has a different opinion about Pesach and how much you eat. Who wants to tell me what that is?
Beis Shammai says you're allowed to eat. You're allowed to have or eat up to a gazayas.
You're allowed to eat a kazayas of seor and a kikoseves of chametz.
You're allowed to eat chametz on Pesach?
No, but to like the amount you have to eat to be chayiv misa.
Right, the over there, very good.
Yeah.
And Beis Hillel says what?
Beis Hillel says a kazayas for both.
And therefore, who's more machmir?
Beis Hillel.
Right. So, are you allowed to shecht Yishayahu a chayer oaf on Yom Tov? Are you allowed to shecht? Are you allowed to slaughter a bird or a behemoth on Yom Tov?
Yes.
Why are you allowed to do that?
For all fun.
What do you actually? What does Beis Shammai hold, Shmuel? What does Beis Shammai hold about the rule about what if you're on a shechta animal on Yom Tov? What do you have to do with regards to the dirt?
You have to cover it.
You have to cover it. And what does Beis Shammai hold that you're allowed to do? How do you cover it?
With a spade.
We use a spade to dig, right?
Yeah.
Why does any of you guys know why he says that? What's the problem with digging on Yom Tov? You're not allowed to dig on Yom Tov, right? Beis Hillel says you're not allowed to shecht unless what?
Unless you have the jerk prepared.
But what do they agree about?
That you could use ashes if you need to.
Very good. And what Beis Hillel holds, if you forgot lechila to have the dirt, then what are you allowed to do? If you didn't prepare the dirt in advance?
Oh, you're allowed to put the.
You're allowed to do what Beis Shammai says, right? Okay. Beis Shammai says, are you allowed to move a ladder on Yom Tov? First question.
You're allowed to tilt it, but you're not allowed to.
Beis Shammai says you're not allowed to move a ladder. Why?
Because it looks like gold.
What happens if you have a ladder from a Disney movie?
Then you are allowed.
Why would you be able to move that ladder?
Because no one's gonna get confused that you're building.
What Disney movie are we talking about?
Beauty and the Beast.
What ladder are we talking about?
Hair.
What? The one from the bookshelf.
The one from the bookshelves, right? But Beis Hillel holds you allowed to move the ladder. Why?
Because it's for all.
Because you're not right. Because you're not worried about it being binyan. Beis Shammai says you're not. What are the 5 levels of kavana?
There's negative kavana, stam kavana, positive kavana. Positive kavana with saying I'm choosing you, and positive kavana with shaking it.
Why would Beis Shammai hold you have to shake the animal? Why can't you just say I have positive kavana on all chickens?
Because you don't think you're gonna eat all of them. You know you're only gonna eat some.
What happens if you're gonna eat all of them?
Then you can't.
Okay. Beis Hillel, does Beis Hillel say you have to climb a ladder in order to choose the doves that you're designating?
No.
What does he say you have to do?
You can just point and say that.
Shmuel, what happens if you designate black doves and you found white ones?
You can't eat them.
Shmuel, what happens if you designate white ones and you found black ones?
You still can't eat them.
What happens if you designate 2 and then you found 3 there?
You can eat them.
Which we can or cannot?
Can.
Can't. If you designate 2, you found 3, you cannot eat them. Why?
Because you don't know which one you didn't.
Right, you don't know which one. Very good. If you designate 3 and then you found 2, what's it then?
You're allowed to.
Why?
Because you don't know where the last one is, but you know that you picked those.
What happens if there's only 2 doves in the whole city?
Then you definitely can't.
Yeah.
What happens if you designate it in front of the cane, in front of the nest, and then inside the nest, you found it in front of the nest? Can you be sure that's the same one?
Yes.
Oh, no, you can't. Okay, but if they are the same ones, there's only ones, then you're allowed to. Who wants to tell me the rule about shutters? Shammai says, what about shutters?
You're not allowed to open them.
What would you use a shutter for on Yom Tov?
A table.
Why would you need a table on Yom Tov? Do you have a table in your house?
Because in
No.
the olden days, they'd use like the floor.
More.
They use the shutters as a double use as.
Where would they bring the
table.
table to?
Also to the market.
Well, I understand. Are you allowed to sell stuff in Yom Tov?
You're allowed to, with exceptions.
When are you allowed to sell stuff in Yom Tov? Sure. When are you allowed to sell stuff in Yom Tov?
You are allowed to.
When? What are the rules?
If you're not measuring and you don't discuss.
Also, it has to be to someone you know.
What happens if you don't know the guy?
They're not allowed to sell them.
Very good. And Beis Hillel holds you allowed to take out the shutters. Why?
Because
Sure.
because then if you weren't allowed to put them back, then you wouldn't want to take them out in the first place.
What's an example like that, Ishio?
If a guy drives an ambulance to a hospital to help someone, if he's not allowed to drive back to his house, he might not want to go in the first place.
I can't remember. Isn't there another case that we are worried about that we allowed the end because of the beginning?
Oh, yeah,
Opening
yeah.
a door.
No. Skinning a cow.
What explains skinning a cow?
So when you kill a cow, the fur
The
comes
hide,
off like
right.
a blanket, kind of.
Right.
So it comes off very easy. But when you take it off, it's muksa, and you're not allowed to move it.
Right?
So some say you just need to get a piece of meat on it, and then you can move
Who's
it.
that someone? What's his name?
I don't know.
Sure.
Barbecue.
Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai
Okay,
said,
but Beis Hillel says you're allowed to, because if you're not allowed to move it, then you might not shaft in the first place, and that'll
good.
take away.
Why does
from
Beis Shammai say you have to have a
some
gazais of meat on it?
because then
So
you
then
have
it's
a
open
reason
that
to
batch.
move it.
Right. Very good. Beis Shammai says you're not allowed to use a pestle in order to chop meat on it. Why would you want to use a pestle to chop meat on it? That's so weird.
It's a shino.
No, I said, why would you want to do that? That's the answer.
You
That's
wouldn't want to, but
Because
you
of
have
nothing
to.
else.
And Beis Shammai says you're not allowed to chop on it. So why are you not allowed to according to Beis Shammai?
Because it's not its purpose.
Right. And what do we say about Kalim on Yom Tov?
If it's not used for its purpose, it's muksa.
Right. And Beis Hillel says you're allowed to do that. Why?
Because of that.
Right. Okay. Beis Shammai holds you're not allowed to take a Sefer Torah, a katan, or a Torah and carry it on Yom Tov. Why not?
They're all not open up.
So I
He
thought
holds
you're allowed to carry
He
Yom Tov.
holds you can only carry if it's for open.
Only carry if it's ochel nefesh. So
He
this
doesn't hold by mito.
doesn't hold by mitoch. Very good. Does Beis Hillel hold you allowed to carry anything you want on Yom Tov?
Yes.
No, only if it has a reason.
Only if it has a reason. Could you guys give me an example of something that doesn't have a reason?
Dirt that you left in your pocket.
Why do you have dirt in your pocket?
Because you picked up
Shut
something on the ground and put it in your pocket and you forgot to get the dirt.
Right.
So now you have dirt in your pocket.
Okay. Beis Shammai holds you're not allowed to send challah or matanos to a kohen on Yom Tov. What are the 3 matanos?
The chest, the front right leg,
And the
and
cheek.
The stomach.
The
Is that-
stomach.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. What kind of challah does everyone hold you allowed to send on Yom Tov? So
baked one.
what kind of truma? The answer was challah. Challah. What? No, challah. That was, but challah, when are you allowed to send trumas challah on Yom Tov?
If you made the challah on your tip.
What happens? You made it before Yom Tov?
You're
Then
not
you're
allowed to.
Why not?
Because you
Because
could have
you
done
could've
it
done it
before.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you could have done before Yom Tov that you're not allowed to do on Yom Tov?
Yeah, crushed salt.
Crush salt. Why can't you crush salt on Yom Tov?
Because you could have done it before, but with other spices you're allowed to do on Yom Tov because it takes away from the taste.
Okay,
if
that's
you
lehav
add
chila.
it,
What about
but-
Betty Evan? Can you crush salt, Betty Evan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
It was
Because it's
open
not
nefesh.
enough.
Okay, Beis Shammai says you're allowed to crush spices of what on Yom Tov?
A wooden pestle.
A wooden pestle, and you're allowed to crush salt, bediavad of what?
A wooden spoon or a flask.
What did a wooden spoon and a flask have in common?
They're both not supposed to be used as a pestle.
But they could.
Right. And Beis Hillel holds how do you crush spices?
With a regular.
You just told me you're not allowed to crush spices in Yom Tov.
There's
No,
a
no,
flask.
because it's ochel nefesh and it takes away from the taste if you don't. crush it
All
like
spices
that.
are off nefesh, so that's not right. But yeah, because it takes away from the taste if you don't do it. So and then salt, you have to do with what according to Beis Hillel?
We have to do it for wedding.
So what is if you have to articulate the principle of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, what's the principle?
Do you have to drop one level lower? or-
Right. Shmuel, how do you separate on Shabbos if you want to do borer? You separate the what from the what?
The good from the bad.
You separate the good from the bad. Beis Shammai holds how do you do borer on Yom Tov? Anyone?
Good from the back.
I understand. Why is it? Shouldn't it be different for Yom Tov for Shabbos?
He holds that anything like that you do on Shabbos, you should do on Yom Tov.
What does Beis Hillel hold?
He holds that you could do it, however, because it's open.
Right. And what does Rambam Gamliel hold?
He holds that you're allowed to just put it in water. Bad stuff will go up and the good stuff.
But isn't that separating the bad from the good? That should be also.
Yeah, it's because he holds you're allowed to do mass production for one person.
Is there any other example of a person doing a mass production for an individual, maybe by his son, maybe?
Yeah.
What is it?
He says that you're allowed to send wheat.
Right. Why would you send someone wheat on Yom Tov? Because you're mean, right? And you want to send a stick. Why would you send a wheat stalk on Yom Tov?
To give it to them, but it's
What are they gonna use it for?
they're gonna make bread out of it. That's mass production.
Right. Very, very good. Okay. Beis Shammai holds you're allowed to send what on Yom Tov?
You're allowed to send
Food.
anything for all. Also only cooked.
So Shri explain food.
You're allowed to send cooked food,
But why can't you send non-cooked food?
because then they could like come to.
Didn't you guys tell me Beis Shammai says you're not allowed to carry Yom Tov, and carrying cooked food would be carrying? Why is that allowed?
No, because he said
You're allowed.
you could carry for Ophel Nefesh. That's Ophel Nefesh.
Very good. Beis Hillel holds what are you allowed to send?
Anything.
Anything.
Except for
Except for- I'm listening.
spiked shoes,
Spiked shoes, good. Can't send spiked shoes.
not dyed shoes.
Not dyed shoes. Who's the one who blackened shoes?
The blackener. I don't know.
Very good. The cobbler or blacksmith, very good. And why can't you send spiked shoes, Shrira?
Can I tell the story?
Go back and forth.
Do I have to tell?
All right, you can start it off. Why? Because okay, just explain why, and then I'll tell you.
Basically, when the Jews were hiding in a cave, I think it was the Romans. The Romans like came to them and they were wearing spiked shoes and they were in such a hurry to get away that they kind of tripped over each other.
So therefore they made a gzera that what?
You're not allowed to wear spiked shoes on Shabbos. I mean, on you.
Right. Very good. What else can you send? Can you send
Clothes.
clothes? What kind of clothes?
Sewn and not sewn.
Why would you send non-sewn clothes? That's
Because you could
crazy.
still use it for like a blanket.
Very good. Are you allowed to send Kalayim clothes?
Yes.
What I thought you're not allowed to wear Kalayim.
Well, you're allowed to sit on it.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. And that's the end of chapter 1. Great job, guys. Chapter 2. Name me the different kinds of Erevin. Who wants to tell me one first? Great. Anyone else? What's the kind of Erev?
Katzeros,
Very good. And the third one in the fifth parak is Erev Teh.
Kloma.
Right, Erev Tash. Very good. All three of you guys did a great job of teamwork. Okay, guys. So if you made an Erev Tavshilin, that allows you to do what to what?
It allows you to cook from Yom Tov to Shabbos.
Right, Yom Tov and Shabbos, right? And what happens if you didn't make an Erev Tavshilin? Is there a thing called harama, subterfuge that you could do?
Yes.
How do you do subterfuge?
It's for Yom Tov.
Very good. Lots of winking. It's for Yom Tov. And you have to cook for Yom Tov. Very good. So what? Very good. Okay. So what? According to Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, what do you have to make for an Erev Tavshilin?
Two types of food. Like you could
According
like
to?
cook something and boil
According to
something.
Beis Shammai,
According to Beis Hillel,
only one.
and according to what is Beis Hillel agree with Beis Shammai on?
You can do a fish and
Yeah. Very, very good. What happens if your Erev Tavshilin's lost?
then you can rely on the.
What happens if you weren't looking and Sheena ate the hard-boiled egg from the fridge and it's gone now?
Shanna, did you do that?
Then you're allowed to use it.
Right. Very good. Very good. So before you go to Har Bayis, what are you supposed to do?
Go to the mikveh.
What are the 3 korbanos you bring on Shlosh Regalim?
All right.
Carbon Re'iyah,
which is what kind of korban?
Ola,
Next.
Carbon Simcha,
Which is what kind of korban?
a Shlamim, and Carbon Chagiga, which is also a Shlamim.
Korban chagiga, korban simcha. Okay, good. And when are you? What if Yom Tov happens after Shabbos? When should you total yourself?
It's a focus. Well, for regular kalim, you might say that it's metaphor kli because you're making yourself useful, but you're not a kli, so you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. But for regular kli, you should do it before.
Very good. And why can't? What's the problem with totaling a keli on Yom Tov or Shabbos?
It's metaphor kli, making it
There you go.
useful.
Who wants to tell me what the idea of hashaka is? Making tahor, tameh water tahor. How's it work?
I'll do it. You take a bowl.
Yeah.
Say to mikvah, you lower it until a little bit of the mikvah water spills into the bowl,
Right.
and then everything in the bowl is tahor.
Right. If you want to use a olive press for chulin and then use it for truma, what do you have to do?
I have that chocolate.
If you want to use, very good. If you want to use a fork that was used for a Caesar salad that was dairy, and you want to use that fork now for kosher, what do you have to do?
I have
Kosher.
that kosher.
Kosher and
Chocolate.
what's the rule about totaling items?
It's
When
for
it goes
transferring level.
Transfer?
moving
Change.
up level.
Change them. Very good. Very good. Beis Shammai holds that you can't bring an ola on Yom Tov. Is that true or false?
False.
So explain.
He said that it's not because you don't get anything out of it. It's not open method.
So you're not bringing ola. Does he hold you're not bringing any kind of ola?
No. You're allowed to bring a carbon tamid.
So how many korban tamis are a day?
Yeah.
Two. And so if you're not bringing korban ola, that's just for your korban. Because not what would you do to every korban ola? To every korban? You not only you offer it, but what do you do first?
You do what's it called?
Smicha.
Smicha. And Beis Shammai holds what about it?
It's a tirchei.
No, it's just there, but it's aser. And Beis Hillel holds what?
You're allowed to.
Right. Beis Shammai holds that you're what do you if your feet are cold and you want to make your feet warm, what can you do aside from going under a blanket?
Hot. Make a tub of hot water.
Make a tub. Beis Shammai holds tub water. I totally only holds for ochel nefesh.
He holds as long as it could be for alcohol nefesh and it could be drank, then you're allowed
When's the last time you drank foot water?
to. Yesterday.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I believe him. Beis Hillel holds what about warming water on Shabbos? I'm sorry, on Yom Tov.
You're allowed to
What-
because
Yeah, go on.
you're allowed to you're allowed to transfer fire for cooking. You're allowed to do it for anything. So
Mitoch, very good. Mitoch, shemit l'tzorach. What are they arguing about the definition of ochel nefesh? Beis Shammai holds ochel nefesh.
are
is
you
only-
allowed to do the steps before it?
No, it's maksha ochel nefesh. Yeah.
Beis Shammai thinks that ochel nefesh is literally just food, and then Beis Hillel thinks that it's like whatever like makes you happy. Like if you're cold, you could like transfer like a.
What's
fire
another
to
example
water.
of Beis Hillel allowing you to do something for your body?
Smoking.
Okay.
No,
You said that with way too much excitement.
the incense.
Incense, very, very good. Oh, yeah. Beis Hillel holds you all to make a bonfire for people.
I think the teacher's fired.
Yeah. Beis Shammai holds you all to make a bonfire, but Beis Shammai holds you not to make a bonfire. What is a special about bonfire?
Everybody likes it.
Very good.
Everybody likes it.
Ramagama said there's three things he was machmir like Beis Shammai. The first thing was what? Remember,
I'm sweeping up the.
that was the thing he's mako like. What the thing he's machmir? The first one was insulating. What was
Oh,
the thing?
yeah.
Oh right.
Hatzmana.
Do you have to make another
So-
arrow?
Right. So what did he say first? What did he say? You said the answer. You're not allowed to what?
To insulate
From
Yom Tov
to
to Shabbos,
and if you wanted to, according to Beis Shammai, you have to make what in your
an extra arrow.
tav shilin. That includes Hatzmana. Very good. And then Beis Shammai holds you're not allowed to put together a menorah. What's wrong with putting together a menorah?
It's
Technically,
technically.
We're talking kli. Very good. And you're not also he only ate crackers on Yom Tov or lafa. Why?
Because it's metaknically to wait for it to rise.
no, not metaknically.
No, sorry.
Tirchas here, but I don't know. But did he want to spend extra time on Yom Tov just on focusing on the day? Is that nice?
No.
Well, they wanted to go out shopping.
No, I can't go shop. What if Hazal say to Rabban Gamliel about that?
Nobody cares what your family does.
Oh, yeah. Very strict way. Right. Okay. And there's three things that he was mako, like Rabban Gamliel was Mako against, the first thing was sweeping the ground. What's wrong with sweeping? Why is there? Klei on
Because
the
they
ground?
they had a dirt like floor, so there was a bunch of holes. And when they swept, it would fill up the holes.
Right, and therefore the problem is,
It's bonus.
right, and the second thing, he was allowing you to make incense. What does that mean? What's the issue?
You're burning incense for smell. It smells.
Right, and the third thing is he would allow you, what kind of lamb on Pesach? He allow you to have roasted lamb on what day? There's an extra day on Erev Pesach, you make a Korban Pesach, but he allows you to have lamb also that day. Anyways, there's Rav Elazar ben Azariah says there's three things he was lenient on and the Chum were strict about. First one is, what about a cow?
Are you allowed to
So
comb
there was
it?
like they put a
That's number two. What's
oh
that
they
wrong?
put like a head thingy.
Right, what's wrong? What's problematic about putting?
If you're holding it, it could be carrying.
Right, organelle, very good. Number two, there's machlokas about metal combs. An animal, what's the problem with a metal comb?
Sometimes it makes the cow bleed, and that's sort of shleita.
That's a tolda of shlita, very good. And therefore, the second opinion of Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to use a wooden one, right?
Mhm.
So what does a wooden one not do?
Make it
Doesn't
bleed.
make it-
And what did Chazal say? The third opinion of Chachamim?
No, you're still not allowed.
Why aren't you allowed to use a wooden one if you're only worried
Because
about?
you still might use
Right, very good. A grinder is made up of what three things?
A bowl at the top, a grinder, and then
seed.
What if I take it apart? Is it if I break it into three pieces and it was tame, is it tame now?
No, because they still work.
Yeah.
If I make it that, if I break into three pieces, and I take a hammer and smash all three pieces, and then what?
Then it's good.
Then it's tahor. Very good. Okay. A kid who pulls a carrot, a red wagon on Yom Tov, is a red wagon muktzah or not?
It
No,
could
as long
be.
as you put like a cloth under the wheels so that it doesn't make holes in the ground.
Right. And Rabbi Huda, oh, very good. Okay, that's good. Okay. Next, Shmuel, are you allowed to trap fish on Yom Tov?
No.
Are you allowed to feed a fish on Yom Tov? Anyone?
Well, it depends what kind of fish it is.
Right.
If it's a fish that like relies on you giving it food, then
Are you
yes.
saying that you keep fish under your bed?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So are you allowed to trap on Yom Tov?
No.
What happens if you set out traps before Yom Tov? What's it then?
If they were trapped by the Banish Mashas, you can use it. If not, you can't.
Right. How would you know if it's trapped before Banish Mashas?
If you bring like bells to your house.
Okay, that's a pretty random case, but okay. Very,
Or if
very.
you have your child stare at the trap all day long.
It once
Are you
happened.
volunteering?
It once happened that a goy brought a fish from Rabban Gamliel on Yom Tov. What are all the issues that could be?
It could be not kosher.
Could be not kosher. How do you know it's not? How do you know it's kosher?
Fins and scales.
It could
He looked
be
at it. Good.
farther than 2,000 almost.
It could be
away.
from outside the Eruv. And how do you know it wasn't from outside the Eruv?
He knows the friend.
He knows the guy. And why did he not accept the fish from the goy?
He doesn't like it.
Very good. Very good. If an animal is in danger of dying, what can you do to it?
You could
Kill it.
You could bring a vet person and see if the mooms were like bad enough.
No,
that
that's the next one. Wait, you
Oh,
could kill it.
okay.
Why can you kill it? Why can you kill it if it wasn't prepared?
Because
Because it was gonna die anyways, and it would be a
yeah, so if you're able to take some meat
Right,
at least
Because of
first.
sure, it's because of financial loss. How much? What's the din? How do you know if you can kill it?
if it was gonna die anyways.
Yeah, but how do you
No,
know?
if you could take some raw
Oh,
meat from the
okay.
neck before it would
So that's Rabbi Kiva.
or
What,
some cooked.
the Tanakama says how much meat that's cooked,
Is
Exercise.
and Rabbi Kiva says
King.
if you if you kill the animal in the field, how are you supposed to bring it back, Shmuel? In the field. How are you
The
supposed to-
normal
Piece by
way to
piece.
do it is on a stick,
by
but you're
piece.
supposed to, yeah.
Isn't it tirchei Sarah to bring it back piece by piece?
But
Yes,
otherwise
but
it looks
otherwise it's
like-
of the whole, also it takes away from us.
And what are two other examples of things that are actually more effort on Yom Tov that Chazal say to protect the Simcha Yom Tov? And it is looking, what is it?
Carrying stalks back from the field.
Carrying
Normally
hay,
you do it on your back, but you're supposed to.
right? That's one.
Carrying jugs.
What's the other one?
Jugs.
Jugs. And how should you carry it?
You should carry it like that.
And before it falls into a hole, who should check it?
A
Mumba.
Why would you have a moonclad
A
check it?
Mumba.
So why would you have a moonclad check it? What does that do?
To see if it has a permanent mark.
And if it has a permanent moon, then what?
You could kill it.
you could kill it, but I thought it's muksa.
But it's
It
not.
becomes unmuksa for financial loss.
Where is a regular before is slaughtered where?
By Cohen on the Temple Mount.
Right, very good. A behema that dies, what's the din? Is it muksa or not? Behema that dies. the
Well,
animal.
if it's like stinking up your house, you can move it, but it's muksa.
It's muksa, right? So people want to ask Rabbi Tarfon if they can move tamei truma and a corpse of an animal, and what they said, the best measure said you're not allowed to move either. Why?
Because, well, you might think you're able to move the bread because you can still use it as fuel.
But you're not allowed to move it, right? And what's the other one? You're not allowed to move the
The
animal
dead
because
corpse, you might think you might be able.
if you
move it
wanna
because
eat-
it stinks,
if you go to the
but-
Best Mikdash and you want to eat an animal on Yom Tov, what you do the day before?
Go to mikvah.
Yeah, you go mikvah, but how do you know who gets what meat?
Oh, you should
Oh.
plan it before.
Right. you put it- And what happens if you forgot to plan it?
Then you don't discuss the payments or measure.
If a person wants to measure
Then
on,
you wait
if a
for
person wants to,
increase.
if a person wants to use a scale on Yom Tov, is there a way they allowed to use a scale?
Yeah, we do this.
That's not a scale, it's your arms. So Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to measure, use a scale against a hammer, right?
Mhm.
Why would that be allowed?
Because it's shino.
Right, and Chazal say you never use a scale, why?
Because it's
Muksa.
Right, and you're not allowed to sharpen knives on Yom Tov, why?
Because
Why would you think you're allowed to sharpen a knife?
well,
Because you could think it,
I'm sorry, I know what you said.
because you could think it'd be for food.
Right, because machshel nefesh, and so why are you not allowed to sharpen knives? You're not to use a sharpener.
because it's of the whole.
It is of the chol, because all using any keel is of the chol, but you're allowed, how are you allowed to sharpen a knife?
Against another knife.
What's the problem if you say measure out a dinar of meat for me to a butcher?
Because that
It's a payment. A dinar is a payment. Discussing money.
Non-discussed money, right? Very good. What happens if someone says, you want to have like 1 gallon of oil? What can you tell to a person? How can you get 1 gallon? What can you say to the person?
give me the regular oil.
Oh, very good. Just don't use a measuring cup, right? Very, very good. There's a story of Abba Shaul ben Baknas that he would always measure out his oil the day before of Yom Tov. Why?
Because he didn't want it to take away. It's supposed to be-
But he also did it on Chol Moed. Why did he do that?
Because you want to get the last drops.
That's the next one. Because why? Why would he do it on Chol Moed? On Chol Moed, he didn't want to take over his Chol Moed. Why?
So you want to take away from because home.
That's right. That's right. And even during the week, he would measure it out. Why?
Because you wanted to get the last drop.
Right. In general, you could go to a storekeeper and give me eggs and nuts. I understand that. You're not on the count, I thought.
Because it's
Isn't
not
it
like
two
counting.
eggs?
That's just like what it's like referred
Dad, you
to.
said eggs and nuts again.
Yeah, that's right. So how do you carry a pitcher? I know what it says. How do you carry a pitcher? How do you carry a bale of hay? Are you allowed to start a bale of hay of straw on Yom Tov?
Yes.
Why?
Because you get positive.
Because you have positive Are you?
Stop.
Oh.
Because you had Stam Kavana, that's Stam Kavana.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to take wood from behind the muksa area?
No.
Why?
Because you have negative one.
What happens if you move some of the wood to outside your house?
Oh, then you
Yes.
have stop one.
What happens if it's inside your fireplace?
Absolutely.
Are you allowed to take a piece of wood down from your sukkah?
No.
No.
Why not?
Because you have
It's
negative
stira-
one. Also, it's no
stira
allowed.
and.
What about a piece of wood
Oh,
next?
no.
It's both. What happens if you have a piece of wood next to the sukkah? Can you use that?
No.
Yes.
Negative
Yeah.
one.
No, well, this one is meant for it. So yes, as long as you're both right. If you have positive one, that's okay. Are you allowed to bring in wood that was stacked in the field and use that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Rabbi Yossi says that if it is in a locked room, then what?
you can't.
Right? Are you allowed to use an axe on Yom Tov to
No.
chop the wood? Why not?
Because
It's available.
What happens if you have a special builder's piece of wood? Are you allowed to use that for fire?
No.
Why?
Because one, that's a very financial loss because that's a total waste.
Right.
And
And
you
you,
have negative one.
Right.
Why in the world
what happens if you
would
have fruit
use
behind?
that?
What happens if you have fruit behind a wall? and then
If
the-
if it
falls,
breaks,
you're allowed to take it.
And whatever Mayor says,
You're allowed to take your not hatchet.
I understand.
and
That sounds like
ground.
that sounds like a breaking wall. That's stira. I thought you're not allowed to do stira on Yom Tov. That's
He
very-
says don't on that fetch.
What's different about this case than other cases? Why is this more ochel nefesh in all cases?
Because this one you're doing something like literally.
Right.
makes it.
Sure. How do you make a potter's lamp? What do you put your hand? What are you doing?
Well, let's say this is clay.
Yeah.
You stick your fist in and then you go like.
Is that allowed?
No,
Why not?
because it's the talking clay.
Right. And what happens if you have one wick and can you make it into two?
No,
Why not?
the talking clay.
I don't. Is it not allowed?
No, because it was still there before. Only
But,
it's
but I
not
thought the
happening.
talking clee was only when it didn't work, and then it does work, and this wick worked
Yeah,
before.
but now it works as two.
Right. Can you make? And you're not allowed to make coals on Yom Tov. Why?
Wait, make what?
You're not allowed to make coals on Yom Tov. Why?
Your face there?
No. I'm talking clee because who's the main person who used coals in the olden days?
Barbecuers.
Barbecue's a gold tip. You're not allowed to break a clay pot, even though the clay pot is for it's breaking. Why are you not breaking a clay pot?
Because
Because
you're
you're the talking clay.
How's it talking clay? Is it
Because you
breaking?
could like use the
you're
shard as a
reusing it
bowl.
for something.
You're not allowed
You're
to.
making it
You're not allowed to rake out your oven. Why? What does that mean?
They
Take
would,
your
like-
tiny spade and break out the ashes.
What's wrong with that?
It's the talking clay.
Right. Very, very good. Rabbi Lezer says that you are allowed to use a sliver of wood for your teeth. Why is that surprising?
Because that's the negative one for that.
You're probably not that. Very good. What are the three differences between Shabbos and Yom Tov?
You can
you're
carry
allowed to
fire,
transfer
not
fire.
carry fire. You can carry, transfer fire, and cook.
Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. If you have drying fruit on your roof, what's it then?
If it's cloudy and you think it might rain,
Mhm.
then
You're allowed to.
you're allowed
put
to
it
kick
through
it down your
skylight.
skylight.
But isn't drying fruit moksa?
But it could be
Yes.
a mahamat who's their own piece if it rains, because they don't get ruined.
Why is it moksa?
Because it's disgusting right
What happens
now.
if you knew it's gonna be fully dried before the Shabbos is over?
Well, its status is what it was like in the Banish Russian.
Right. So how do you lower it into the skylight?
You kick
You
it.
kick it.
You're kicking. Why can't you just lift it up?
It's
Because
a
that's
muksa.
muksa. It's moving. That's what muksa is.
What's a shlos?
A shvus is a
Darabana.
Darabana. Give me all the examples of this mission of all the shlosim, all six in order. In order.
You can't.
Oh,
You can't climb a tree.
A,
Can't ride an animal.
B,
Can't swim.
3.
You can't clap and dance.
but that's it.
Can't what?
Clap and dance.
Slap your thigh.
Right. That's all 6. Very good.
Oh, and by the way, extra, you're not allowed to drown.
No. You're also not allowed to do Rosh Hashanah Yom Tov. You're not allowed to judge a case. And what? If you guys know any others, you're not allowed to.
Oh, you're not allowed to do Yibam Lita.
Right. And you're not allowed to marry a
Person.
or donkey. Very good.
What?
You're not allowed to get married. Very good. You're also not allowed to do mitzvahs. Who could tell me an example of a mitzvah that you think you don't Yom Tov that you can't? You're not allowed to give stuff to who?
To the base of Mikdash.
To the base of Mikdash. And you're not allowed to separate.
Truma.
Truma or challah, very good. How many? The tachum of a person is how many amos outside of the
2,000.
city? 2,000. If a person's animal goes according to whose tachum?
It
The person,
depends.
the
If he
person,
gives it before
the person
before
whose
the
possession it
Banish
was
Mashos.
in Banish.
Very good. If a person's father died and they didn't yet separate the inheritance, how do you know who the tachum is for the person who's using it?
Before he gets everything.
Okay. Someone who lends a keli to someone, what's the din?
If it was if by Banish Mashos.
Jinx.
Okay. Very good. If a woman borrows from her friend spices, water, and salt for her dough, then what's the din of
If
that?
it just disappears in, then
That's his opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. What's the Tanakh? What's the
Both.
yeah, the tchum goes according to
Both.
both. What's special about a flame?
It
it
doesn't.
doesn't have enough stuff, so they're gonna have to do that in hours.
I don't know what you just said, sure.
It doesn't have any mamashos.
And therefore,
Therefore, it doesn't have like, and it doesn't need to be 2,000.
what's special about the
So
wo-
basically, if you can just hold it in your hand, then you
Here's
can bring it
Zuko.
any by yours, by your 2000.
What's
Not
special ab-
Anyone else, even if you steal from like someone
What's
else.
special about the
Still
din of the wells of the Ole Babel? People come from Babel to Archville.
There's basically a few wells in the middle because they went like.
And the water goes according to who's from.
Oh, yours.
And what about the wells in the city?
Oh, those go by the cities.
Okay, what happens? You invited people to your house and you want to send food home with you. How can you?
If you like gave it to them before Shabbos.
How can you give them before Shabbos? What's that?
You could be
If
like,
you say
this is gonna be
this
for my
is
guest.
somebody's, because you're allowed to do good to someone even if they don't know it. So like I can give her $3 even if that person don't get, even though she'll never get it because anyway, that's not a real case. I would never give her $3.
Very good. What kind of animals? What kind of animals are you allowed to give water to on Yom Tov?
City animals,
And
ones
what,
that you own.
okay, we're done. You guys did a great job. You guys got to cut the cake. Could someone just eat the chicken in one job?
Oh yes,
No, Shmuel gets to. You mean chicken.
I call the head.
You got a chicken chunk.
Boom! All right, I'm talking it the whole thing in my mouth.
There's a stick in there.